Good afternoon, Stampers. It's Debbie with Stamp It with Debbie, and I would like to welcome you to Facebook Live today featuring Dandelion Wishes. I'm going to show you how to create 3 cards using this set. If you are new to watching my Facebook Live, I would like to welcome you. Leave a little comment. Let us know where you're from. If you have been here before, I would like to thank you for coming back today. So we're just going to wait a few minutes and let people get in. So let me get my other computer all set up, and I'm just going to let you check out the cards and the stamp set for just 1 minute if you would. I hope that everyone is staying toasty warm today. I see that some of my Florida friends are experiencing really chilly weather, and it's not just kind of 70-degree chilly weather. I noticed some of my friends woke up to 37 degrees. That's really cold for Florida anyways. It's probably still flip-flop weather for Michigan, but in Florida it's definitely chilly. So I'm just still trying to get hooked up here on my computer. Last week I had a little bit of trouble seeing everyone, so I couldn't see anyone's comments for some reason. Okay. All right. Oh, looks like chilly Ohio. Yes, Michigan this morning when I got up, well, last night when I went to bed, it was 25 degrees. So, it's probably not as cold as it is some other places, but, and I'm not complaining at all. I've been in Florida for the last 3.5 years where it was hot, and I said that I wasn't going to complain about the cold, so I won't, but I haven't been able to find my mittens, so I need to do that pretty quickly here. So we're just going to wait for just a few minutes and see if some more people come on. I'm trying to adjust my camera here just a little bit. I think we'll go ahead and get started. So it is in the midst of between Thanksgiving and Christmas, and I don't know about you, but I've had a lot of friends tell me that they've been sick lately. A couple of my customers are sick, and my husband has been sick, and so I wanted to create a couple get well cards so that I could just have them the next time, because hopefully they're not going to get sick, but I know someone's going to get sick, and I just want to have a card that's going to be ready. Hello, Diana. I'm glad you caught me live for a change too. Thanks for joining us. So these cards, there's a greeting in there that says, sending well wishes your way, wishes for a lifetime of love and happiness, and I made a wish and you came true. And today, I think that I'm going to make, I do have a sample of wishes for a lifetime of love and happiness, but I'm going to make them all get well so that I can use them again. So if you were to get this stamp set, you could make them all get well or whatever you would choose. If you're new with me, I just want to remind you that if you place a $30 order through my online store and use the host code, and this is the host code and how you can get to my store, it's stampitwithdebbie.stampinup.net. I should fix that really quickly. Sorry, .net. And if you use this host code, I'm going to send you the make and take kits for these cards. Now you do need to have the stamp set or a similar stamp set. Any flower would do, and any greeting. You can use the layouts. I'll send you all of the embellishments and the paper items pre-cut with no stamping, and you'll be able to create the cards with a $30 order. This week, between Christmas and Thanksgiving, I'm also offering, if you place a $50 order, then I will also throw in a package of rhinestones or pearls. Now, a couple other announcements really quick before we get started. If you are interested in the snowflake set that we used last week, the 30th is the last day to be able to order that. So let me just show you real quick. Here is the snowflake framelits and the 2 stamp sets. After the 30th, you will not be able to order these anymore. The other thing that I wanted to remind you of is today is the last day, but Stampin' Up! Is offering 10% off all inks, ink refills, framelits, tools, which is punches, the aqua painters, the blender pens. There's a limited quantity of what they're offering at 10%, so once that item sells out, it's not going to be available. Last time I checked, the Tombow adhesive, multi-purpose adhesive glue was on there, the two-way tape, or sorry, the tear and tape, dimensionals are on there. So there's lots of items for 10% off. So again, use this host code and I'll send you the make and take kits for these cards. So let's get started, and I'll bring that host code back out in a little bit just in case you missed it. Again, this is the stamp set we're using, Dandelion Wishes. And give me a second. Again, last week I shared with you I had gone back from convention and I have talked to a couple of my customers, and I tend to not do very simple stamping. I like simple stamping, just my brain doesn't do it. So I'm going to try to do over the next couple weeks a couple things that are a little more simple, that are just simple stamping, that if you're in a rush but you need a card, you know, you can get this done really quickly and it still looks very beautiful. So we're going to start with this one today. And that one was created on Highland Heather cardstock and with Highland Heather ink. And it's somewhere here in my messy office. And then we're also going to use this polka dot tulle ribbon, and this comes in Whisper White and it also comes in Very Vanilla. We're going to use the Whisper White today, so I'll set that aside. We also need a sponge dauber. And then I took a piece of a little bit heavier cardstock. This is what comes in the back of your designer paper, so it's a heavier weight. I used the largest layering circle framelit. Hopefully you can see that. And I put it down in the middle, cut it out. I'm going to use this as a template. And I'm using also Stays On black ink. And I think that's it. My 2 stamp sets. So I have the Sending Well Wishes. We're going to make this one exactly as is. Sometimes I switch the color up a little bit, but today I did not. So the first thing that we're going to do, we can fold our card in half, and this card base is cut at 5.5 by 8.5. Use the bone folder just to secure that edge. And then this is the piece we're going to use this template on. Now, you've probably heard me say before, stamp first, glue down second, just so that if you make a mistake, you can always turn over on the back. And so I'm just gonna get my sponge dauber here. When you're using the dauber, you want to start off the edge just a little bit and kind of just go in circles. Some papers will take the ink a little better than others. I'm guessing that the glossy cardstock wouldn't leave so many circles on there. So we'll blend it and it's not even going to matter, because once you stamp over it, you won't see it very much. And again, this is Highland Heather ink, and you just want to go in little circles. If you were really pressed for time and you needed to make this card very quickly, you could cut a circle out of Highland Heather instead of inking it up. That would just add one more layer to your card, but this is keeping it at 1 layer. So I'm just using my dauber to kind of smooth over any spots that look a little splotchy, but once you take this off, it looks perfectly fine. So I'm done with the dauber, and I'm done with the Highland Heather ink. And next I'm going to use the Stays On ink, the black Stays On ink. And I think I'm actually, well, let's finish stamping this. Then I'll put it on. We're going to ink that up. Whoops, I have a piece of something on there. And then we're just going to put that right down in the center. And then we'll do our greeting. sending well wishes your way. Pull it off just a little bit so that I don't get my head in there. And then I just wanted to do a few little of the dandelion, you know, when you blow on it and they blow away. I'm just going to do a few of those. And I thought I would do a few down here too. And now we're going to use our adhesive and put this piece onto the Highland Heather card base. Right there in the center. And then we're going to use our polka dot tool. Grab my paper snips here. And I just tied a knot. You could also tie a bow if you choose. And this ribbon you don't want to pull too tight because it will stretch, so just very loosely tie the knot there. And give it a little loose pull, and then I like to cut the edges just at a little bit of an angle. Then we can straighten them up there. I'm going to pull this over to the side a little bit. You can adjust it so it's a little more at the top there. And then here's this card. So if you wanted to sparkle it up a little bit, you could add a couple rhinestones around. You could add rhinestones in the middle. Why don't I just do that now so you can see what that looks like. Again, I wanted to keep it simple, but I also want to give you some options. So I'm just going to add, and I lost my piercing tool somewhere, so I'm just going to add them. I always tell my people that come to my class, don't do this, so do as I say, not as I do. All right. So you can see the difference. It adds a little bit of sparkle, but some people don't like to have those on their cards. It looks beautiful either way. If you were going to put this in the mail, I would just suggest cutting a little piece of cardstock, a scrap piece of cardstock, putting it over the top of your card, and putting it in the mail. That way, when it goes through the machine, it won't poke right through the envelope. The other thing that I've seen people do is actually fold their card inside out, which you might think is a little strange for someone to get, and they might think it's a little strange if they don't know what you're doing, but that's what I've seen some people do too when they're doing the rhinestones and other embellishments. So there's that card with rhinestones and without. So I will set those aside and we'll get on to card number 2. For this one, let me grab the sample. You're going to need a piece of smoky slate cardstock cut at 11.5 by 4 1/4, scored at 5.5. This is a piece of our 6x6 stack designer paper. It comes in each of the color suites, and this one happens to be the Brights. This is Daffodil Delight. They're all two-sided. And then I have a square of basic black cut at 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. A piece of Whisper White cut at 3 by 3. And I have a scrap piece of white for this greeting here and a scrap piece of black for behind it. We're also going to use the classic weave ribbon in white. We need, again, Stays On ink, and we need some dimensionals, and we're again going to use the sponge dauber, but this time with Daffodil Delight. So I'm going to set that one aside just a little bit, and we'll start with our greeting, again using Stays On ink. And this one I did Wishes for a Lifetime of Love and Happiness. I think that looks really nice as a wedding or anniversary card. I'm going to make this one a Get Well card, and then I'm going to use my 2-inch punch. And I'm going to punch that out. And then I'm going to use the Starburst punch. This is what it looks like. Hopefully you can see that. I'm going to use my scrap black paper. And I'm going to punch that out. And now on this piece of 3x3, I'm going to use my Stays On ink. This one's just adding a little more layers, not too much more stamping at all. Just a few more layers. And we have our dandelions. And then I'm just going to use my sponge dauber with the daffodil ink. Ink it up really lightly. I'm just going to add a little color to the center of those by moving that around in the center. Just gives it a little bit of color. Oops. And now I can attach this 3" by 3" white to the 3 1/4 by 3 1/4 black. And then I'm going to attach my greeting to the starburst that we punched out. I do need to add a couple dimensionals to the back of the starburst here. I'll take that backing off right now while I'm at it. I'm going to set that aside so I don't stick anything in it. So the first thing I'm going to do is, I said this was scored at 5 1/2. Use the bone folder to just make sure we have a nice crisp edge. And then you could use the striped or the polka dot. I'm going to use the polka dot side. And I'm just going to put it right in the center. And then I'm going to take my dandelion image, and I'm going to kind of offset that to the left just a little bit. I want to leave a little room at the top so I can get my ribbon on there. And then I think that's really crooked. Let's see if I can adjust it. I'm going to put it up in front of me so maybe I can get it straight this time. All right, and now I'm going to put my Sending Well Wishes Your Way right there. I'm going to take my white weave ribbon and go around the inside of my card, and I'm going to do a knot again, not a bow, just a knot. And then I'm just going to use my paper snips to cut the edges off a little bit so they're at an angle. And then push it up towards the top of the card. Make it a little pretty there. And there's that one. Now, I'm going to just show you real quick how the paper stacks come. This particular one, as I said, is the Brights. My package is falling apart a little bit, and I have all my scraps in the front. So this is how it comes. All of the colors inside are, so again, this is the Bright. So this is Melon Mambo, Bermuda Bay, Pacific Point, Flirty Flamingo. Don't know what that one is. How come I can't remember what that one is? Anyways, here, let me look over here. It used to have, oh, that's Poppy Parade. Poppy Parade and then Daffodil Delight. So again, it has all of the bright colors in it. They have the small polka dots and the larger polka dots. They're all the same pattern, different colors. And then on the back, there's 2 different stripes. I like this because it just gives you just a little piece. They're 6 by 6, so you could cut off a 2-inch strip and make 3 cards from one piece. So that's how that comes. And again, here are 2 cards. Like I said, one could be used for a wedding or an anniversary, and this one is my get well soon that I'll have, so when my friends get sick, I'll be able to send that out. the next one we're doing is this one here, and I'm going to show you how to, I don't know if you can see it on camera, this is actually embossed with white embossing powder, and then I used my blender pen to color that in. We're going to make our other one a little bit different color this time, and I'm going to set that aside real quick so I can grab, I'll tell you first what we need. This is a piece of Whisper White cut at 8.5 by 5.5. This one's going to be Melon Mambo, and I cut this at 5.5 by 3 3/4 this way. And then this is a piece of paper. I'll show you that stack in just one second. It's another 6 by 6 stack, and I cut both of these pieces here using the layering circles. This is the largest circle, this is the largest scallop circle, so I just cut those out with black and then the designer paper. And then I have another piece here. This is 1 inch by 3 3/4 to go across the center. So I'm going to set a couple of these pieces off to the side. And I think first I'm going to show you, this is another 6 by 6 stack. And this is in the annual catalog. And I knew I'd forget the name, so I marked it. It's called Garden Impression, and it's a 6 by 6 stack. There are 48 pieces. There are 4 of each of 12 designs in here. And I've used quite a bit of mine, but I just wanted to show you how pretty it is. It's lots of different colors. There's some Melon Mambo in there. Looks like Mango Melody, Seafoam Green. Looks like Blueberry Bushel. This is one side, and here's the other side. So there's lots of pretty designs to use. So that's what I used today. And we're also going to be using the tufted embossing folder. So let's do that first. I'm going to grab my Big Shot. And with this one, you can, well, let me just do it. You can spritz these with the, oh my gosh, now I can't remember the name. Oh dear. I think my spritzer didn't have water in it. It had something else in it. Okay, today I'm not going to spritz this, but if you spritz, it gives you a deeper design. But if you don't spritz, it will still give you the embossed look as well. And you only need 1 plate for this. I think that I failed to tell you, I'm only going to run this through halfway, and I hope that I didn't just talk my way through and rolling more than I needed to. Nope, that's probably good. So I just want the design just on the top. I want to leave the bottom smooth so that I can stamp on it. This mark here is from some water I tried to put on it, but actually it was alcohol. So it should dry very quickly. Oh, Patricia said the spritzers are all sold out. They will come back in stock. They just had a certain number of them for the sale, an X number that they decided they would sell at 10% off. So they will come back in stock. They just won't be 10% off. So we're going to go ahead and fold our card base in half. Again, that's 5.5 by 8.5. Scored at 4 1/4. Now we're going to take this piece here that we embossed just halfway down. We need to stamp our greeting before we attach it, or we're not going to be able to get a really good image on there. I'm going to take it off screen just a second so that I don't get my head in the way. So now this is all ready to put on here. Get my adhesive. And we're just going to attach that right in the center and leave a nice even space on either side. On this one, you can see that I did not emboss it. It was kind of an afterthought. I thought it would just add a little more texture. I really do like texture in my cards. So now we're going to take this piece of black, cut again at 1 inch by 3 3/4, and I'm going to put it just above my greeting on the card. And then the next thing I'm going to show you how to do, it could get a little loud here, but I wanted to show you how to do some embossing. So this one, like I said, is embossed with white embossing powder. And to emboss, you need, of course, embossing powder. This is in white. You need Versamark ink. And if you haven't used Versamark before, mine got a little dirtied up, but this pad is usually just the vanilla color. And this ink doesn't have a color to it. It just allows it to stay wet enough so that you can put the powder on it. And then you also should use this little thing called a Stamping Buddy. And what this does is makes it so that the embossing powder doesn't stick anywhere except for where you want it to. So we're going to just wipe that over where we want to emboss. And then I just realized, and I don't know if this is going to work, but I wanted to stamp the dandelions on first. And hopefully that embossing buddy is not going to stop it from sticking. We'll see. Put that on a little piece of scrap paper. Yeah, it kind of did a little bit. That's okay. So you can kind of see it in the background. I would recommend stamping that first before you do the embossing buddy and then doing the embossing buddy. But it's okay. Now, I'm going to get my embossing buddy again. And just, well, maybe I'm going to. All right, here we go. Just wipe over the page. So if I had done that first, you would see the dandelions more, but I think it's going to be okay that they're not showing a whole lot. Now you want to use your Versamark, and you're not going to be able to see it really well. If you look kind of at an angle, you'll see that it's shiny. And I probably don't want to stamp right over where those are, so I'm just going to shift it off just a little bit. And now I still can't see it. I have this little case that Stampin' Up! Used to have, but you can also do this over a coffee filter, so you can just dump it right back into your pot. So once you use it, you can use it again. Just dump it back into the pot. Kind of want to tap off any excess. So I don't know if you can see. I'm going to try to pull this up here. So you can see the little flowers, and it's just powder. So now we need to use our heat tool to heat it. And so typically I do heat up my heat tool for just a minute so that it's nice and hot so that it doesn't warp my paper. So give me just a minute. I'm going to heat it up, and then I will heat it up under the camera so that you can see. And you'll notice when it's starting to be done heating, it will get very shiny. And so we're just going to not move it around a lot, but you have to be careful holding it too close and in one spot. And so I don't know if you can see it starting to get shiny. Can you see the difference there? I'm trying to hold it a little bit of an angle so you can see the difference. And this does get hot, so you probably want a clothespin. Works very well. So now it's all shiny, and it's all set. The powder is all set in there, so you don't have any worries. So you can see if I had stamped a little bit darker, you'd be able to see those dandelions just a little better. Now that I'm looking at it, maybe even in Melon Mambo would have been nice. So now I'm going to take this piece and attach it to the scallop that I cut out. And one thing I did over here is I used my my Mango Melody blender pen. You can color once the heat embossing is all set. You can color this a little bit. So I'm just going to color a few, but not all of them, just so you can kind of see the ink from that will stick. Now you can't do it with a marker. It has to be the blender pens or an alcohol based marker, but you can see that it just adds a little more color to the center. But I might even take some pink and go over that later. So I'm going to add dimensionals to the back of this one. And attach that here. And then it seemed like it needed a little more to me, so I wanted to add some pearls. I tend to add rhinestones to a lot of things, so today I decided to add a few pearls. I still don't know where my piercing tool went to. Oh, I think I see it. I do. Here it is. Now I can quit breaking the rules. Just going to add a few random pearls. And with the tufted background, it really adds a lot. I'm going to hold this up so you can kind of see how the background is tufted. And then the last thing that we need to do is add some white baker's twine. I'm going to add that to the side here. And when I'm doing a double layer, I always start at the top or the bottom. Just leave a little longer tail so you have enough to tie it with. Oops, wrap it around. And then I'm going to cut off enough so that I can make my bow up here. The other thing with baker's twine is if you have a hard time holding it, go ahead and tie a knot right here. And now it leaves both your hands free to just tie a bow. Oops. And then just cut off any excess. And also, I wanted to tell you one more little trick. I'll pull this one over so that so if you have the old baker's twine, it now comes on a spool, so this doesn't happen. But if you can see how that's kind of kinked right there, if you just take your bone folder, that'll take the kink right out, and then it makes it a lot easier. So if you have any ribbon still that you're using that way, or baker's twine, all you have to do is do that and it'll take it right out. So let's get our cards back here so that you can see all of our beautiful cards we made. And here is the host code, and again, stamp it with debbie.stampinup.net, not .com, .net. And if you just use the hostess code and place at least a $30 order, just again as a reminder, the 10% off the inks and tools ends today. And so if there's a link on my Facebook, if you just click on that, but if you just go to stampinup.net, you can click, there'll be a little sign to the left that says tools and 10% off. So again, this one was Dandelion Wishes, and it's a good set for a lot of things. If you have a different greeting to go with it, you can do that. And I hope that you enjoyed this demonstration today, and let me know what you think about doing the 3 different cards. If you want me to keep doing a stepped up level of those, or if it doesn't really matter to you, you just like to see the different projects, let me know. And next week I'll be back with 3 more projects next Wednesday at 4 o'clock. So stay warm out there wherever you are, and I thank you for stopping by today, and I hope that you will join me again next week. If you have any questions or comments about the projects today, feel free to leave them below, and don't forget, if you would, click share so that my videos can get seen by other people. And right now we're at 394 followers, so I'd really like to get to 400 by next week. So share with your friends and your family, and we'll have a little celebration when we get to 400. Thank you again, and we will see you soon. Bye bye. Have a great day.